Welcome to the FAFSA Leadership Lounge, where we dive into the policy shaping the work of Florida's school leaders. I'm Michelle White, Executive Director of the Florida Association of School Administrators.
And I'm Jessica Janasiewicz, lobbyist for FAFSA and for several school districts across the state of Florida.
Well, we are going to start this week's episode with something a little different. In NASCAR, towards the end of each season, many drivers and crew sign contracts to join new race teams, stay with their current teams, retire, or just go do whatever they want to do. And they call that silly season.
Oh, well, it appears the Florida state government is in our own little silly season right now. Last week, we discussed the DOE Commissioner Kamutsis is the sole finalist for the Polk State College presidency. Well, now, former Representative Jenna Persons Maleka has been appointed as the Lee County Supervisor of Elections.
That's right. So they're moving all around, and it appears that we're just getting started with Governor DeSantis in his last few months in office. Get ready for some more high-profile appointments across the state.
I would expect that, absolutely. And speaking of the governor leaving, let's take a look at someone who's running to replace him. Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins' gubernatorial campaign announced his education agenda at a press conference in Atlanta. If elected governor, he promised investments in cybersecurity to prepare students for an artificial intelligence-driven world, and expanded educational pathways, including workforce education and agricultural training. Florida's families need a governor who truly understands the classrooms, the challenges, and the dreams of Florida's children, Collins said. Florida doesn't need more Washington-style bureaucracy. We need bold, practical leadership rooted in our values, and that's exactly what I'll deliver as your next governor. Collins also said he would fully reject any one-size-fits-all bureaucratic approach to education.
Absolutely. And that was in Tampa.
Yeah.
But it's all good.
Learn what made me say Atlanta. Sorry, my mind must be in Atlanta. I don't know.
So he also, the campaign also released a statement saying that children must have the option to customize their education tailored to their career goals, whether they choose to go to college, learn a trade, or join the military. Every child is unique, and our education system should reflect that. But Collins said that he doesn't want to give each child an individualized education plan, and that those specific processes should be limited to students with disabilities. Collins also stressed the need for trade opportunities and agriculture education in our schools. The elected official, as he is currently our lieutenant governor, has stressed his background as an agricultural family member and said it was important to teach students skills that would be useful in the workforce.
Last week, in maybe the no news is good news department, I don't know, the legislature was very, very quiet on budget negotiations. We're hoping that this means that there's a lot of negotiating going on behind the scenes and that they are getting closer to an agreement. They had said that they wanted to have the budget ready for a vote this week, so we shall see. Our fingers are crossed. We'll also keep you posted on any and all updates that come our way.
Absolutely. And hoping that we don't have to extend a special session. So more news to come. Definitely make sure you're watching all of our email updates in between.
Yes.
So for all of our listeners, they may or may not know, but FAFSA's office is pretty full of people who like baseball and softball. So let's talk a little bit about this. So Orange County schools maybe heard about our love of these sports because they have announced a very innovative program to help lure back students. They plan to open a micro school focused on baseball and softball for students in grades 3 through 6. This program would combine traditional academics with daily sports training, replacing electives with baseball or softball practice, and enroll fewer than 50 students.
Wow, this initiative is part of the district's effort to attract families back to public schools after declining enrollment that caused by homeschooling, private school vouchers, and other factors. Officials hope that offering specialized interest-based programs will give families more choices within public education system. District leaders say the program will still provide strong academics and could expand other interests like music or martial arts if successful. This is kind of similar, I think, to what the legislature has been doing over the last couple of years, where we've seen additional pathways to earn your PE credit or your art credit, expanding it from just that traditional physical education to allowing, some other ways. Dance, I think this year was one of the ways that they did that. So just another way that our schools are being innovative.
Yeah, and what a time too, right? To try and find ways to bring students back into our traditional public school districts and support them with choice,
Yep.
right? We still have a significant number of families that are choosing our public schools for a lot of different reasons, and so many amazing programs are happening in them every day.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this next story might get a little controversial, but we want to make sure that we're sharing education news from around the state. And there's always multiple sides to every story. So, an independent Florida based news source has published a story that shows the number of assistant principal positions in a particular district exceed the state average for the number of students that they have.
So the data that they were using for the article says that for 35 districts in the there are 35 districts in the state that have over 10,000 students, and there is a district in that pool that has an AP for every 340.8 students. The state average is 486.57 students. The article goes on to say that if the district followed the state average, the AP percentage would decline by 27%.
Wow. And, you know, timing is everything. So
Right.
we see this article come out, and we also have more information from one of amazing colleagues that I get to interact with all the way from Washington State, other side of the country,
Yep.
but still doing some amazing work out there in support of their leaders. So the Association of Washington School Principals released a report titled The Real Cost of Cutting Assistant Principals. And this report tells us what a majority of our listeners already know about the importance of APs.
That's right. First, APs play a critical role in school operations and leadership. They handle essential day-to-day responsibilities like discipline, supervision, and family communication that don't go away if we cut those positions. Instead, these duties shift to principals, which reduces their ability to focus on instructional leadership. AP roles are the primary pathway, of course, to becoming a principal. Cutting these positions weakens the future leadership pipeline at a time when many districts already face principal shortages and high turnover. Finally, the research for this article shows that principals are more effective when they are supported by APs. Without that support, principals are pulled into more operational tasks, which limits their impact on teaching and learning and slows overall school improvement.
Yeah. And so cutting these AP positions directly impacts school safety and culture in measurable ways. Student safety and supervision suffer. Schools rely on multiple administrators to manage emergencies, oversee supervision during high risk times, and implement threat assessment protocols. So when APs are reduced, schools lose critical response capacity, supervision gaps increase, and they struggle to meet established safety expectations that assume a team-based leadership structure.
Yes, and also the research shows that school culture also begins to erode. APs are key leaders in maintaining discipline systems, supporting teachers, and building relationships with families. Without them, behavior management becomes more reactive, teacher support declines, leading to higher burnout and turnover, and family engagement weakens. Reduced leadership visibility also makes it harder to build trust and a strong sense of community within the school.
That's right. So when AP positions are cut, that supports that support for our schools thins. And when that support thins out, we see teachers leave. And of course, student achievement follows in the downward decline when our high quality teachers are leaving our buildings. So we know that APs are not this added expense. They are critical and an essential piece of the infrastructure that makes everything possible in our schools. And the question is not whether districts can afford the assistant principals, it's whether they can really afford the cascading costs of losing them.
That's right. And remember, FAFSA is the association who supports all school leaders at all levels. If there's ever anything we can do to help you in your leadership journey, please feel free to reach out to us.
That's right. And we have been strategically focused on really building those ATs and principals so that they can be strong leaders in their buildings every day. And can't wait to see so many of them at our Discover conference in just a couple of short weeks. It'll be here before we know it. We are definitely here to make sure that we're the support system helping them grow and succeed. And so that's all we have for this week. Thank you for all that you do every day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership Lounge podcast presented by the Florida Association of School Administrators. Today's podcast was hosted by Michelle White and Jessica Janasiewicz. The podcast was produced by Jeff Willoughby. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. New episodes are released each Monday. For show topics, suggestions, questions, or comments, please email communications@fasa.net. We hope you enjoyed the show.